Welcome back to the Final K. The Eschborn Frankfurt is happening this Friday, so I wanted to make a preview on the race, give a couple riders to watch, as well as my prediction for the race. And as always, I'm going to be live for this race on Friday alongside the Tour de Romandy. So let's get straight into it. This is the race here. It is 211 kilometers long and is 12 kilometers longer than last year's race. It's the longest edition since 2018. This race seems a lot harder than last year's race, as there are 9 climbs this year. You're going to see them going along the bottom of the screen as well, compared to the 5 climbs last year. And it also looks like it's going to be the hardest edition since 2022. They're going to hit the Bergweg 3 times. It's 500 meters long and has an average of 9%, as well as hitting the Mammal sign 3 times. It's 2.2 kilometers long and has an average of 7.7%. They hit the first climb 31 kilometers into the race, and they hit the top of the last climb, which is the Mammal sign, 35 kilometers out from the finish. In regards to the last 5 editions of this race, they have all finished in some form of a group or bunch sprint, if it be a 60-person bunch sprint or a 9-person group sprint. And talking about the last 5 editions, these are the winners of the past 5 editions of the Eschborn Frankfurt. Jasper Philipsen won it in 2021, Sam Bennett won it in 2022, Soren Kragh Andersen won it in 2023, Maxime van Gils won it in 2024, and Michael Matthews there won it last year. Now let's move on to my top 5 riders to watch at this year's Eschborn Frankfurt. Now these riders may change because I did my notes for this video on Tuesday there yesterday. It's now Wednesday, and the majority of the riders in my top 5 aren't racing it anymore, so I don't know what's going on with the start list, but just know these riders may not be riding it. You can also see there Michael Matthews is the defending champion of this race. Well, it shouldn't say defending, it should say 2025's winner, as he is not going to be riding it this year after he did break both of his wrists in a crash earlier in the season, so that is unfortunate. We're not going to be able to see him at this race. The first rider on this list is going to be Sam Watson of Ineos Grenadiers. Now he hasn't had the best season, I would say. He's won 2 stages. He won the prologue, the first race of the year at the Santos Tour Down Under, and he also helped win the team time trial in the Paris-Nice as well. He also picked up a few top 10s in the Santos Tour Down Under, and I think he also looked very good in Gent-Wevelgem and Dwars-Door-Vlaanderen. I think if we look at the past 5 editions of this race, I think we're most likely looking at a smaller bunch sprint, maybe 20-25 riders, and I think if Sam Watson ends up being in that group, or even Axel Rons of Ineos, I think either of them could be looking at a top 5, top 10 even at this race. The next rider to watch is going to be another Brit, and he is 100% confirmed for this race, and that is Tom Pidcock. Obviously, badly injuring his knee after falling off a cliff pretty much in the Volta Catalunya. He tried his best to make it back in order to compete at Liège-Bastogne-Liège, which he did do. He just wasn't able to compete because of a mechanical that he had, and he ended up finishing 101st, but that's not the main reason I've got him on here. I've got him on for his sprinting ability. If we look at the races he has had the sprint at, the first one comes to mind is Classica High-End at the start of the season, where he outsprints Jan Christen and Maxime van Gils, who unfortunately crashed, but he won the sprint out of those 3. Milan-San Remo as well against Tadej Pogačar, which I do think he could have won if he didn't go around the right-hand side. He went around the left instead. The Volta Catalunya, there were a few sprints, albeit they were uphill. And then the Tour de Alps most recently, where he got second in one of the sprints, and then he won stage 3 at that race as well. So a lot of good performances when it does come to sprinting, and like I said, same thing for Sam Watson. If it does come to a smaller, reduced bunch sprint, I think Tom Pidcock could pull something out of this race. The third rider to watch on this list is someone who's been on fire in the Ardennes this year. It is Emil Verstringen of Alpecin. And when I say on fire, I mean on fire, as he got 5th at Amstel Gold and he picked up a 4th at Liège-Bastogne-Liège. And in both them results, he had the sprint for. Obviously in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, he was outsprinted by Remco Evenepoel at the end, and in Amstel Gold race, he got outsprinted by Benoit Cosnefroid and Romain Gregoire. So with those recent performances, I had to put him on this list. Even if it does come down to a smaller bunch sprint like the other ones, he could still pull something off here. However, Alpecin are bringing Jensen Plowright to this race, so they could be working for him. I don't know how it's going to play out, but like I said earlier for the other riders, if it does play out into a smaller bunch sprint and Verstringen ends up being in it, he's definitely on form to get a good result. Before I get on to my top 2, I want to give you 3 honourable mentions as well. So the first one will be Tim Wellens of UAE. The second one will be Van Sevenen of Soudal Quickstep. And the final one is going to be Kopecky of Unibet Rose Rockets. On to the top 2 now for this race. And number 2 is going to be Magnus Cort Nielsen of Uno X. Now he got second at this race last year behind Michael Matthews. But if you do compare last season to this season, he was doing a lot better last season at this point. Although I will give him the fact he has been doing a lot of work for Tobias Hallen-Johannessen this season, who has been ripping it up. But don't get me wrong, Magnus Cort Nielsen has also had his own opportunities this season, in which he picked up a stage win at the Volta Catalunya and also got a top 5, which are both very good results. But if you do look at this race, it does have Magnus Cort Nielsen written all over it. Like, he did ride it last year, like I said, and picked up second, and last year's course was a lot easier than this year's course, so hopefully he's going to be able to get over the hills and pick up another podium finish. And the final rider to watch at this year's Eschborn Frankfurt is going to be Tobias Lund Andresen. Now, he got 41st at this race last year with his old team, Picnic Post, but since then he has moved to Decathlon CMA CGM and has been ripping it up so far this season. It's also going to be his first race since the Dwarsdorf Vlaanderen, in which he abandoned on the 1st of April. I'm not going to get into his season in this video. I'm going to save it for the Giro d'Italia preview where I will speak about it over there, so spoiler alert for that. But I've mentioned him a lot of times in these Rider to Watch videos because of the results he has been picking up this year. This is another rider in which this race suits perfectly, as he has been proven to get over hills in other races and also end up in the bunch sprint at the end. And with the 40k flat at the end of it, I mean, it's going to give him enough time to recover. And I think the Decathlon are going to be the main team in this, pulling the strings, you know, and controlling the peloton, because Tabashlon Andresen is riding it. As for my prediction for this race, and I mean, just looking at it, how hard the stage is compared to last year, I think I'm going to go with Tabashlon Andresen. Like I said when I was speaking about him, I think the Decathlon are going to do their best to control the peloton. They are bringing a strong team to it, and they are expecting a Tabashlon Andresen win. So I think we're going to look at maybe a 25 to 30 person sprint at the end, including Tabashlon Andresen, who's going to go on to win it. But don't get me wrong, I think we're going to see attacks on, you know, maybe the final 2 climbs where someone's going to try and get a breakaway started, or maybe a breakaway does get started and the Decathlon are able to bring it back. But I mean, yeah, I'm going to go with Tabashlon Andresen to win it. I was weighing up between him and Magnus Cort Nielsen, so they were my 2 that I was going to go with, but I do think Tabashlon Andresen will win it. Let me know who you think is going to win the 63rd edition of the Eschborn Frankfurt, and also let me know if I did miss anyone out on these Rider to Watches. I mean, the start lists are changing every hour, so I don't know who exactly is riding it, but some people may get added, some people may get taken away, but let me know if there are any riders that I didn't mention that you're also keeping an eye out for. Don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe as well. The road to 1,000 is still on, and also don't forget I'm going to be live for this race on Friday, like I mentioned at the start of the video. I'll be live for this on Friday alongside the Tour de Rome, and depending on the times they finish, it could be a long stream, so if you do want to come and watch along, by all means join me. But yeah, thanks for watching the Final K, and all the best.